Hello, everyone. I'm Christian Roberts. I'm here with my fabulous friend and co-host,
Quodicia Johnson.
and we are back with another episode of Taking the Stage with Christian.
And quote. And as we begin all of our episodes, we start with a land and people acknowledgement because it is important to start with the truth, to tell the whole truth, to take a holistic approach to this work so that we can center truth and connection as we create a better world together. So we do want to take this time right here, right now in this space to acknowledge that we are on stolen land. We are on the land of the Caddo, the Wichita, and the Comanche sovereign nations in this place now known as Dallas. Nations of people who faced horrible conditions, including genocide, including forceful removal by any means necessary from the land, but also nations of human beings who lived a full human experience and who cultivated the land since time immemorial. We also want to acknowledge that people were stolen from their homes and brought to this land and forced into free and enslaved labor. From that free and enslaved labor, we have what we enjoy as Dallas. Dallas is not alone in this, as the entire nation benefits from stolen land, stolen people, stolen labor, stolen lives. Again, we do this not to place blame. None of us created these conditions, but we have inherited these conditions, just as we have inherited the responsibility, the opportunity, and the capability and the honor to tell the truth, to heal the harm, to work to heal the harm going forward, and to create a better world together. So I thank you for joining us for this land and people acknowledgement.
And we, of course, thank you also for joining us for today's episode. We didn't get here alone. We are a community, and we will continue to operate as such. And the topic for today really is one about checking in. We want to check in and just see where everybody is, see how you're doing. And so that's how we're going to start off the episode is, how are you doing? How are y'all doing out there right now? We realize that we are in production mode right now. Many of us are in full on production mode for the first time in quite a while. So it's just the world is shifting, the field is shifting. So we're just checking in to see how everybody is doing. So I will start by asking Flo, how are you doing?
Oh, we're asking each other how are we doing?
Oh, of
Yes.
course.
That's fair. I guess you can't ask people stuff and not expect to answer it. That's right. How am I doing? I am navigating simultaneously seeing things progress and simultaneously creating boundaries because in this nation we have a habit of requiring those who are not just the loudest but those who pick up the work or those who help to call for change to do all of the work. So it doesn't mean that everyone expects me to do the work, but I also have a habit of saying, oh, this is what's necessary. Let me get up and do this. So creating really, really honest boundaries with myself and with others to determine what is mine to carry, what is mine to help others carry, and then what is mine to actually not carry at all. So I am in real time looking at what that means and what this means for all of the spaces that I occupy. I am also actively working to create adventure. Those who know me
Yep.
know I like to travel. So looking at what adventure and who I can meet and learn about and learn from and the things that I can experience in the next coming months. To kind of balance out some of the work that is necessary and that is going, that's good, that's going, but still very taxing as well. So that's my answer. How are you doing?
I'm sort of in the same predicament. It really is about balance, trying to make sure that I take time for myself to actually breathe. And I know my singer friends out there know what that is like. I'm a trained opera singer, but sometimes I forget to breathe just in my daily walk in life because when you are busy, you're moving and you're producing operas and you are out in your community. It takes a lot of work. And as Poe said, when you are leading some of this work, particularly engaging with communities, it's front facing. You're there, and I know many of us got into this field because we're passionate about it and we love what we do, but it doesn't mean that it's not difficult. It doesn't get difficult at times because we are human. So really and truly, it's finding that balance. And very much like my friend here, it's part of why we get along so well. I love to travel. So it's also making sure that I set up time to do things that I like to do. And that's really the thing right now. And just trying to find ways to take better care of myself so that I can continue to do what I do. I believe that we are in a, I mean, we work for nonprofits, we are in the arts, we are service oriented types of people. We have to make sure that we take care of ourselves. So that's the biggest thing for me is setting up those boundaries and just trying to make sure that I can do the things that I love. And I like spending time with my family. Anybody who knows me that I have nieces and nephews. I have two nephews that I live relatively close to, and it's difficult not being able to see family. So it's
Mhm.
those types of things that I'm working on right now. So that's how I'm doing right now. I am tired. I'm exhausted, and I know I'm probably voicing the sentiment of a lot of people, but I'm also quite thrilled with some of the things that I'm seeing. But I will admit that I'm taken aback by some of the things that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Not surprised, but taken aback by some things that I'm seeing. So that's where I am right now, and just trying to figure out how to fit in this skin with some of those things that are going on.
Beautiful.
And I don't mean fit as in try to blend in, but to come out from among some of that stuff and figure out what my role is
Yeah.
in those things.
And thank you for bringing that forward, because as a Black woman, what that means for me to say I'm creating boundaries, that's low-key revolutionary, or revolutionary,
I'm,
I will say.
I'm trying to rest. I'm trying
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
sure I
I'm
rest.
trying, yeah.
Revolutionary.
You're
Absolutely.
revolutionary.
Absolutely.
And to not even just to rest, but to say, here's my boundaries. And a lot of times we get pulled into, we're focusing on equity, right? We get pulled into equitable spaces because we get the impact and the brunt. And me being quiet, it doesn't help me. Being quiet
Doesn't
about
help
it
me
doesn't
at
make it go
all.
away. Being quiet about it doesn't help me. It's not gonna go away if I can just quiet and I just mind my business over here. No. So a lot of times we get pulled into those spaces, and I know for many of the others who are watching, hi everyone, also get pulled into it because we see things, not just in our identities, but also in our experiences. So it's easier to say, I'm going to create boundaries than it is to actually do them sometimes. And it is easier to try to push forward than it is to take a moment to pause and rest. So I
Yes.
appreciate you kind of
And
jumping
reflect.
in and reflect. You
Yep.
jumping in and saying, well, actually, how are you doing? Because a lot of times we ask, how are you doing? And people are like, oh, I'm fill in the blank. Oh, I'm okay. I'm exhausted, but I'm going. But to actually take the moment and say, well, how am I doing? How are you doing? How are you feeling? How do you want to feel? And how do we
Hmm.
get to that space together is important.
Correct.
So I
And
appreciate
also finding the tools for that.
that.
So a lot of that right now, is thinking about the things that I like to do. I like to be outside. I like to be with my friends. And
Um,
Flo and I, we haven't been in the same physical space in a while, but we talk on the phone all the time. We text all the time, and that is, I have to say, that's an anchor for me. I don't know what it is for you, but but I very much like talking to you and just discussing not only what we do for a living, but also just where we are in our lives,
yeah, yeah.
and what we want to do next. And it's just refreshing. You can work with a lot of people and not necessarily call them your friend, but Poe is my friend. Like, she is my friend.
Kristian is
So
my
it
friend.
yeah,
we've,
like
we've shared, like, not even just friends, in the to be in a space as family, and
hmm
to be in a space where we can have the conversations and the tough conversations about what it means for us to ask the question, how are you doing? And
yes.
to really hear. You also mentioned that some of the things going on in the field, some of the very difficult, challenging, nonsensical, aggressive, fear
Blatant.
blatant fear-based things that are happening in the field in many ways, because we're in a state right now where that rush to find an immediate solution that happened in a lot of companies in a lot of ways, in response to George Floyd being murdered, and in response to the guilt that many people felt. We're going to rush and we're going to find the answers and we're going to hire these people and we're going to do these things and we're going to make these commitments. Suddenly, again, keep that same energy.
hmm
right?
But it's
Suddenly
hard to keep that energy when you don't realize that
that
you
you never
did not
really
look
had
for
it
the.
to begin with.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like there's a depth to this that I think that is hitting people right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason why we're asking the question, how are y'all
How
doing?
are you doing?
Because we know that it hits different people in
Right.
different ways. And we know that there is a weight that is associated for different people in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we ask the question, not only how are you doing, but how are you really
How are
doing?
you really doing? How are you doing really? And
Yeah,
I said
I told you, I'm
suddenly.
tired.
Yeah, yeah. I said suddenly. It has not been sudden. It's actually been ongoing and things have been building up.
Mm-hmm.
So in looking at how we are doing and in asking the question, how are you doing? I want to encourage everyone to be okay with the answer.
Yes.
Do not associate our worth with the answer. You are tired and you're exhausted because everybody's in this. We can do it times 200. Everybody came back and they're going hard in the paint, as we used to say. Going hard for no reason in the paint, right? If you're exhausted, you're not the only person feeling that. If you are seeking affirmation, you're not the only person feeling that. If
Amen. You are
you
not
are,
alone.
you're right. If you are wanting to engage deeper, if you're wanting to disengage, all of these things are very natural for what it means for us to disrupt a system that dehumanizes us and for us
Yes.
to disrupt the engagement in a system that says that quotation marks the show must go on, as we start to question not just what is the show, but should it go on when it's actively causing us harm, and
Mm-hmm.
leaning into a space of creativity and connection to be able to do the show without causing greater harm to ourselves and to others and to our communities. So
That's correct.
that starts with asking, how are you doing?
Well, and it goes back to our what we talk about all the time is centering humanity. Because no matter what happens, humans are the reason that the work is getting done. Humans are the reason that the show can go on.
Right.
So you need to make sure that you are checking in not only with your own humanity, but the humanity of your staff, your families, whoever you're around. So I encourage everybody in the field, not only in the arts, not only in opera period, but everybody just in our world to really take the time to do that. But as it's specific to our industry, to really look at this because it's something that we have talked about on this show plenty of time. I
Yeah.
know many practitioners who have emphasized this, and there is a great concern right now that humanity is being pushed away in the 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 fury of I don't want to say fury of production mode, right? Like this is what happens. So just take time to
Yeah.
breathe
Yeah. Yeah.
during this time. Take
Take time.
time to check in.
Yeah. Yeah. To check in and to check up on people like when you can, and to allow others
Mhm.
to check up on you, to reach out and to connect. Kristian just shared about how meaningful it is to have someone to chat with and to speak to. It is difficult. This work is difficult. Let's not make it more difficult than it has to be. And let's not be in a space where we feel that we have to do it alone. Things will shift. They are shifting and they will continue to shift because ain't nobody got time for nothing else. So, like, we're not asking.
Yeah,
This is not a question. This is gonna happen. Let's do it together type of space. Not, are you okay with this? So, with that
that sounds
being,
like that's close to positive notes right
oh,
there.
is
I mean,
that
I guess
positive notes?
that's part of no. Well,
Mm,
no, and I will add this. You are not alone.
right.
Those of you who feel like that you may be tired or the weight is on you, or that you may be happy or anything like that right now, you're not alone. You're not in this by yourself. Who always talks about we can do this together, and that's real. So I would like to take the time right now just to remind you, you're not alone. That goes for our artists. That goes for our stagehands. That goes for our administrators. Like it is. You're not alone. We are all feeling it, but understand that you don't have to be by yourself
Mm-hmm.
in all of it. Understand that um, we're on here right now pouring our hearts out. Being honest, I'm tired. She's tired.
Tired.
And we're asking ourselves the question. So we would not put a question out to y'all that we would not be willing to answer ourselves.
Mhm.
And so I would encourage you, uh, to sit back and just take time if you need to. And that's countercultural in a society that's
Yeah,
moving and quick all
yeah,
the time.
yes, it is.
But just you have to take time to sit back and breathe, and assess where you are. So I would encourage that with anybody, particularly because there is a lot going on at once. And some of the things that we talked about at the beginning of the pandemic in light of George Floyd, um, we're actually having to actively put those policies in place, or those
Yep.
those commitments that we made during a time when we paused. We're having to put those in place at the same time producing this art. So we have to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah.
And I said over and over again that I believe that we can do it. Um, but you have to make sure you don't default to pre-pandemic practices, because it makes it that much harder to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Talk. Yeah. Yeah. And
So that's my
notes,
notes.
positive notes, as we said, this is us kind of just checking in to ask how you are doing and to encourage you to be okay with whatever that response is. And to know that as you sit and as we all sit in learning, that we can also sit in communication, we can also sit in connection, we can sit in deciding what is most meaningful for us before we jump immediately into action. It's one of the things that always happen. We want to do the work without actively knowing what it feels like to carry the work. So with that being said, there are so many things going on. Let us know how you are doing. Let us know in the comments. Let us know, DM us, right? Send us a message, whatever you want to do, an owl, whichever, whatever you want to do. Let us know how you're doing. Check in with yourself, center your humanity in it. Check in with others, center humanity in that communication and in making meaningful decisions, because it's going to happen. It is just a matter of how we work together to make sure that we make it happen in a meaningful and in a healthy and in a healing space. Those are my positive notes.
Well, I have nothing else to say, folks. That sums it up quite nicely. Let us know. Be bold, folks. Continue to be brave. Continue to be, and that doesn't necessarily mean being bold and brave. Does not necessarily mean that you go hard. You sometimes being bold and brave. The most bold and brave thing you can do is to sit down
Sit
and be
down,
still.
sat down, as my granny would say.
Sat down and be
Someone sat
still.
down. Yeah, and
Like
be
our
still.
elders used to tell us, sit down and be still.
Sat down and
So
be still.
just remember that, and know, like I said, you are not alone. We're with you. And we appreciate you being with us.
Yes.
And with that, we will wrap. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see you again soon. Peace.
Bye.